what's up everybody, and welcome to this episode of ToneSetterTV.
What's good? Y'all already know who it is. P Hill, All Hill ENT CEO. We in here stunning, doing it B.I.G. For real! Strong side, yeah. Let's get it.
Stay tuned with me, Christopher not Chris, as we literally get into somebody's business.
I say excuses are results. Today, I want y'all to repeat and say you can't have both. Excuses are results.
You can't have both.
Excuses are results.
You can't have both.
Do y'all understand what that means?
Yes, sir.
Everybody.
Yes, sir.
What's going on everybody? It's your boy Christopher not Chris, ToneSetter Entertainment here for another episode of ToneSetterTV. We got another great guest in here for you guys today. Today I'm sitting here with Mr. Patrick Hill, aka P Hill.
For real!
All Hill ENT, All Hill Entertainment. What's going on, man? I appreciate you coming through.
You already know. I appreciate you having me.
No doubt. Let's just get started, man. All Hill Entertainment, man. What is it that you guys do?
Man, so All Hill Entertainment, we are a full stop or one-stop shop. We do social media marketing for artists, brands. Really, we help people that, young entrepreneurs. If you're trying to build your brand, we help you do that. We give you that professional feel.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And how long have you been running All Hill Entertainment?
It's been we've been in the mix for almost a decade. I like to say that, 10 years. We've been in the mix for about 10 years. And it's just been different things. It started off doing parties. That's really how a lot of people, got that's really how I got my name, how I got pretty popular. It was just doing parties. And so we was promoters, a promotion team. And then from that, I started dabbling to doing photography inside of the clubs, to MCing, it just started getting bigger, hosting events, to doing my own events, to, it just started getting bigger. You want me to go in depth on that story right now, or?
I mean, it's up to you, because from what I've seen, like you said, it has been a whole bunch of stuff. Like it's leveled up through the years. You know what I'm saying? First time I met you was in a party,
right?
And then those parties, doing the club scene. Then I see you on the photography. And I see you doing something else. Then you got the artists, what I'm saying? Then you developing artists, putting artists in the studio. So I've seen, All Hill from before you had the shirt with the logo on it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? To where it was just at the club yelling for real.
For real.
You feel me?
Hold on, man.
You know what I'm saying? So I've seen a lot of that come up, you know what I'm saying? It's just crazy to say, back in the day it was just throwing parties, and now it's become a full business, and you've been able to turn that into what's been a full business.
It's bigger than me.
I appreciate that. That gives you something to push for when it's bigger than you. Being that it's bigger than you, what would you say is your company's, something that you feel is one of the greatest accomplishments right now? And it doesn't necessarily have to be, in entertainment necessarily. Mm-hmm. It may just be something that you're doing in your business that maybe nobody else is doing in that lane yet.
Consistency. I feel like that's one of our biggest accomplishments is consistency. Whether you just now meeting me a year from now and hearing about All Hill ENT, or if you been on me and heard about All Hill ENT from years ago, you never stopped hearing about it. Like we've been consistent, been in the mix, and like you say, it is different ventures that you see me doing, which is why that all is in front of, because one of the good things is each of those skills I developed, so alongside it, and I didn't even, it's funny because as it was happening, I wasn't even thinking about it, it just was happening. Like I was getting good at all these different things, but once I started developing my leadership, my personal development skills, I met my mentors, my millionaire mentors. They started pouring into me and just making me, like, I always knew something big was gonna come, but I didn't know how or what exactly it was. And so, once they started, telling me about books, and personal development and just developing my mind, it just like took me to another level. Because now, at that point, I started wanting to be a servant leader. Like I always considered myself a leader, but not a servant leader. So, my mentor Wayne, he taught me about being a servant leader. So, then it became about me serving. And so everything that you do, that you said, photography, MCing, videography, developing artists, all of that is me and the people that's working with me. That's us serving, because that's what it's about. It's a quote that say, if you help enough people get what they want, in return you'll get everything that you want. So I'm blessed to have got good in all those different areas, because now I have the expertise to say, when if it's a production going, whether it's a video production, I've been the star, the entertainer, the person behind the mic, so I know how to develop somebody that's on the mic and they have their stage presence. If it's the person recording, I've been the person behind the camera, recording, so I know the angles. I know what to look for, so it's tight, just to have both sides of the spectrum. I've been the person going to events, parties, comedy shows, and then I've been the person on the other side of the event, actually putting the event together, and same thing with the artists. I've been the person paying for artists and other celebrities to come, and then I've been on the other side where people was paying me to show up to an event. So it's like that's pretty tight. It's a blessing. And it's just like I said, I'm a servant leader now. So my thing is just about giving back. So that's why I'm glad that you doing this. Shout out to you for doing this, because this platform is crucial and it's needed, especially in San Antonio, because we behind as far as people working together and giving out knowledge to give back. So the fact that you putting this platform together, that's tight. That's what's up.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man, because that's really the goal, is just to give back the information, from entrepreneurs like yourself,
right,
that have been through the rings, have been going through different things, have already, has hit certain points. You can go back and give that information to people that are just starting off, people that are just getting their stuff off the ground.
Yep.
So
ain't nothing better than experience.
Yeah, and it ain't nothing better than learning from somebody else's experience,
right,
instead of having to go through it and bump your own head.
Right.
So that's always a blessing, to be able to learn from that. And so you talked about, being the person that was being booked for the shows to being the ones that was booking the shows.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you crossed over to that side of being the one that's booking the shows, what do you think right now is probably like the best show that you booked, or the most successful show for you?
Let's see. Well, so I would say the biggest one was when we brought B King. That was, and the funnest. We had 3,000 people in the crowd, and it just was jam packed. Like that was the biggest show that I put together. It was a team of us that put it together. I didn't put it together by myself, but that was the biggest show that I was on the mic, controlling the crowd, and it was like, I'm a veteran. I got this. I can do this.
That's what's up. And I mean, the fact that you had the opportunity to do it with B King, he came in, of course, he brought a lot of people wanting to see B King, so you got a lot of people in the building, a lot of energy in the building, and you was able to control that control that crowd, that's telling, of how you feel, your stage presence, and your persona when you're up there.
Right.
So that's always a blessing to come through that situation, because now hey, when a dude a little bit bigger than him comes, I know I'm prepared, because right, I've been through this.
Veteran.
So we talked about accomplishments, and I think a lot of times in business, when we talk about entrepreneurship, a lot of people talk about their accomplishments. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about a challenge. It could be specific to your business, or it could just be business in general. Something that maybe challenge you on your route to getting to where you are today.
There's plenty of challenges that that come across, but that's life. I've learned to expect the challenges. Expect things not to go well. So it's like at first when it used to happen, I used to get upset. But as once I met my mentors and I started listening to other successful people, I started realizing they all say the same thing. They all think the same. They all been through similar experiences. It might not be exactly the same, but it's the same same situation.
Yeah.
And it's like once you start embracing them, like I said, expecting things to go wrong, then you know it's different. So it's like what's a challenge. Like, that's been a big challenge for me. You know, just going the process of, you know, I'm going a path that nobody, not only in my family, but nobody. And at 6:30, about 30 minutes from showtime. We got a silent disco set up. We got some airless ready to perform. It's about to go in.
One thing I noticed that you spoke on a couple of times was your mentors. And you know, a lot of the reason for your next level was getting that mentorship from, you know, I heard you say your $1 million mentor.
Right.
How important do you think it is for business owners or anyone that's developing a craft to have a mentor?
So, and that's the good thing about having a mentor. It's very important. It ain't no excuse, because some people say they don't have mentors, and me, I didn't have a mentor, you know, because with your mentors, they say find somebody who has what you want and let them teach you how to get what they got. So, and find somebody who's doing what you're doing and let them teach you how to do what you want to do. But I didn't have that. So, you know, I used to make excuses for myself as I don't have a mentor, you know. But then once I met my actual mentor, you know, he told me, you know, these books are your mentors. You know, if you don't like to read, then listen to audios. You can type in these books on YouTube or download the Audible app and download the books, and people will read these books to you. So it ain't no excuse, because all these books is wisdom, is knowledge. Exactly what we're doing right now. You know, we're verbally talking about experiences, so that way, you know, somebody else can be helped, you know, impacted. And so these books do the same thing. Instead of you trying to go up the mountain by yourself, it's like these books is like a cheat code. They telling you, hey, grab that ledge right there. Don't grab that ledge right there, you're gonna fall, because I did it before you. You know, the route that you're trying to take, I went before you. So let me show you the easy way how to get across. And it's like people just have to, you know, sit down, listen to these books, read these books, and let these books be your mentors. Like
I like that.
Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of these authors are my mentors. I call them my mentors. Some of them I ain't never met in my life, but they still my mentors, because the way I think about life, I gained from them. So
that's what's up. I like that though. So that's one thing that I want to highlight and take, even for myself. You know, you can't make an excuse of not having a mentor when we got all these books at our disposal
and the internet
at our disposal. And you know, like you said, you can find an author that you may like, you know, the series of books that he has on whatever he's talking about, like for instance Robert Kiyosaki, if that's who you want to, you know, go, and you can read his books or listen to his books, and literally he's imparting wisdom to you. He's your mentor. So I like how you put that, and that's a different way of thinking about it, to give people a perspective of, you don't necessarily have to have a physical mentor right now, and until you can get to that point, there's always other avenues to find that type of mentorship, so you can learn and move forward.
Right. And YouTube should be their best friend, you know, because you can, even artists, you know, I tell artists all the time, you know, get on YouTube. You know, I guess it's called music business, you know, and music is smaller. The word music is smaller than the word business, you know, because music is smaller than the business. The business is the bigger part, you know, and with the business, you have to think more than just you being able to rap. You have to think marketing. You have to think your image. You have to think interviews and knowing how to speak. You know, you have to think stage presence. You have to think your presence behind the camera. You know, you have to think autographs. You know, that's all business that a lot of people don't think about. They just see the fun. You know, that's I just want to, you know, do this, but they ain't thinking down the line. They not thinking having a team of people that work for them. You know, and knowing how to communicate with these people. So you have to develop those skills. You know?
Yeah, and that's what we would call soft skills. You know, you're being able to communicate, being able to learn and develop. Because like you said, you know, YouTube University, that's what I call it. Because you can learn anything on YouTube.
Right.
So that's another point, another tip for people. You know, I think everybody knows that by now. If you're on here learning from YouTube, you should know you can learn anything else on here. So that's another good point. And you know, you dropped some gems already, so it's almost redundant to ask you for another one.
Hey.
But I mean, what's one thing that you would probably say, if you could say that maybe changed the way you thought about your business, or maybe took you to the next level in your business, that kind of changed your thinking in your processes?
I'm gonna say, start with the end in mind. Yes, start with the end in mind. You have to have vision. Myself, like I said, I knew I wanted to be successful. I knew I wanted to be big, but I didn't know exactly how. And even now, when I ask this question to a lot of people, they don't know how. But you know, my mentor, he actually started casting vision into myself. And you know, he's a visionary. I'm a visionary, and I didn't know I was a visionary. But you know, he basically taught me. That was one thing I took from him, was start with the end in mind. You have to go see it, you know, because everything that we see, it started in our head. You know, these books started in our head. This phone, it started in somebody's head. This watch, it started in somebody's head. The clothes started in somebody's head. You know, everything. It was a thought. It wasn't reality. It wasn't real. It just was a thought into somebody's mind. And they took action and stayed consistent, you know, but they seen it. And then they made it become the world's reality. So it's like, same thing with me. And that's one thing that I live by. And I like to tell people all the time, start with the end in mind. You know, even with situations, you know, before you steal, before you cheat, before you do something, start with the end in mind. You know, what's the worst thing that can happen from this? What's the best thing that can happen from this? Keep going. Play out the scenarios. Because if you do that, then you ain't going to, like, now you giving yourself time to think about what's about to happen, what's about to go on before you just make a dumb decision. You know, when we young, life is moving fast, so we just thinking fast. But when you start being a visionary, you start dreaming with your eyes open. You're able to see into the future. And so when you're able to see into the future, you slow life down. And when you slow life down, the hardest thing about slowing life down is just waiting for the world to catch up. Like this conversation that we have, and it happened already. I knew it was gonna happen. I seen it happening. You know, the people that's being inspired by this video, you know, 20 years from now, you know, it's 2019. You know, I'm already, once this video goes on the internet, it's up there forever. My great grandkids is gonna be looking at this video, and I'm talking to you too. Start at the end in mind. For real.
Hey man, that's I can't even add anything on to that. Man, for those that know me, know I normally got something to say, but man, that was it right there. Starting with the end in mind, being a visionary, dreaming with your eyes open, so that way you can see the future. Those are some things that I took out of what you just said that I feel like were real important. Man, I appreciate you for coming one more time, man. Before we go, I wanted to ask you, what's a book that you're reading right now that may be impacting your thinking, or something that, you know, you may be learning from right now that's in your chamber?
So I've read this book already. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And so I'm reading it again. You know, I like to brush up sometimes, and then when I read new books, like I just got done reading that Jay Prince book.
Okay.
And so he referenced it again, so I was like, okay, let me. And that was actually one of the first books that my mentor had referred me to read, which was like back in like 2013, 2014. So it's been a long time since I read it. So now I'm just going back into it and actually more in depth, you know, trying to really analyze that, because one of the big things that I did take away from that too was just, you know, it's bigger than ourselves. Like I say, being a servant leader, you have to think about other people, not before you think about yourself.
We'll put that on the screen for you guys so you can know what it looks like. I do want to thank Mr. Patrick Hill, P. Hill.
Put some respect on that.
All Hill ENT. I want to thank you for coming through the ToneSetterTV.
Thank you for having me.
Most definitely, man. We really appreciate it. Again, you already know, Christopher, not Chris, ToneSetter Entertainment. We appreciate you guys showing up with us and hanging out with us for a few minutes. You guys have a great rest of your day. Peace. Hey, thank you everybody for joining us for this episode of ToneSetterTV. We hope there is a learning moment in this episode for each and every one of you.
If you are an entrepreneur or are interested in being a part of ToneSetterTV, please email us at tonesetterent@gmail.com. Also, subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with our entrepreneurs. And remember, to be a tone setter, you have to figure out a way to set the tone.